Alright, what's up you guys? I am here with the 2009 WWE Pay-Per-View DVD Collection. So let's get right into it. Start with the Royal Rumble. We have a beautiful cover. I always liked it. It's like one of the mashup style covers, but I still like it. I like how it has the panels here. Very nice. And I always really like this pay-per-view as well. Fantastic Rumble match. You have Jeff Hardy versus Edge when Matt Hardy turned on him. Jack Swagger and Matt Hardy. John Cena and JBL. And then your Rumble match. Of course, RVD came back. Made for a great moment. And just a really cool Rumble match because it actually had a lot of participants in the ring at the same time. So it made for an exciting Rumble. Alright, No Way Out 2009. Vladimir Kozlov. I never liked this cover. But it still works. It's just my own personal taste. But we have Shawn Michaels and JBL, Shane McMahon versus Randy Orton in a great no-holds-barred match. And then your two chamber matches where Edge did his, he lost the WWE title, but then won back the World Heavyweight title. And I just think that's excellent booking and a great storytelling. Just fantastic moment. And then there's your disc art. And we didn't do inserts. This is past the insert age. And here we have WrestleMania 25. I'm trying to fix these and they all just fell over. That's nice. Okay, WrestleMania 25. Of course you had, basically what it's pretty much known for is The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. And some people consider that to be the greatest match of all time. So, beautiful cover here, though. You have your 25th anniversary, when technically it really wasn't. It was just WrestleMania 25, not the anniversary date. But we have decent matches on here. I was never the biggest fan of this event, but it's still decent enough. You had Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy, great match. You had your Money in the Bank ladder match. You had Chris Jericho with the Legends handicap match. Wasn't a big fan of that. Then you have your Triple Threat World Title match, and then your Triple H versus Randy Orton. But you open it up here, Hall of Fame class. Of course, you had Stone Cold, Coco Beware, obviously very controversial. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Howard Finkel, and you did get an insert for this, obviously. And this one you just get WrestleMania highlights throughout the years, so it's decent, you know. And then of course you had before it was considered a pre-show, it was more of like a preliminary bout. We had the unified tag team titles. They were being unified for the first time. Alright, here we have Backlash 2009 with Randy Orton on the cover here. Great cover. I always really liked it. Great artwork. Great logo. Backlash was always one of my favorite pay-per-views. But we have CM Punk and Kane. The Kiss Cam. That's exciting. We have a 6-man tag team match for the WWE title. Triple H, Batista, Shane O'Mac versus Legacy. And then we have Jeff Hardy versus Matt Hardy in an I Quit match. And that finished off the rivalry. I think they could have gone maybe one more pay-per-view. Because they also did the stretcher match, but it is what it is. Then we have Jack Swagger versus Christian for the ECW title, and then John Cena versus Edge in a last man standing match. And I really do like this pay-per-view a lot, and I think it's one of the best backlashes they've done. So it's very cool. Alright, another very cool cover here. This is a year of great covers. We have Judgment Day 2009. Of course you have the scale. And they had a really cool stage that had the likeness of a scale as well, so it was pretty cool. But we have CM Punk versus Umaga, John Cena versus Big Show, Rey Mysterio versus Chris Jericho in their first match of their great rivalry, Christian and Jack Swagger again, Edge and Jeff Hardy for the world title, and then Randy Orton versus Batista for the WWE title. And there's your artwork, same thing. But still, you know, I always liked that cover. I thought it was pretty cool. Alright, next up we have Extreme Rules 2009 We have Rey Mysterio, and on his mask he has everyone's ring attire. I always thought that was really cool. So that's just really cool that they did that. And I'm glad that Rey Mysterio got his own cover. I'm a Rey Mysterio fan. Alright, overall this is a really good pay-per-view. But we have Vicky Guerrero versus Santina Marella in a hog pen match. That's exciting. We have Umaga's final pay-per-view match against CM Punk. Loved Umaga. I think he really deserved a better tribute, but it is what it is. He had a fatal 4-way United States title match, submission match with John Cena and The Big Show. Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho, one of my favorite match endings. We have a triple threat hardcore rules match for the ECW title. Edge and Jeff Hardy in a ladder match, and then steel cage match, Randy Orton and Batista. And of course this was when CM Punk won the WWE title when he cashed in Money in the Bank for the second time. And then that would segue into his heel run, and the rest is history. Alright, here we have the Bash 2009, Jeff Hardy on the cover here. Very cool coloring. But they dropped the Great American Bash and just changed it to the Bash. Wasn't a fan of that. And this is the last time they would use the moniker, period. But we have the Unified Tag Team Championship. We have Chris Jericho versus Rey Mysterio in one of the greatest Intercontinental Championship matches of all time. You have an ECW Scramble match, so that's pretty cool. I always like those. John Cena and The Miz. Randy Orton versus Batista. Randy Orton versus Triple H. I don't know where that came from. 3 Stages of Hell match. Randy Orton versus Triple H. And then we have CM Punk versus Jeff Hardy, which was disappointing because it ended in DQ. I was not a fan of that finish. There's your artwork. Very nice. Alright, next up we have Night of Champions 2009. Was never the biggest fan of this cover. But you know, it works. It's cool. But we have every title on the line. We have Rey Mysterio and Dolph Ziggler for the IC title. Tommy Dreamer versus Christian for the ECW title. You have your tag titles on the line. And then you have a 6-pack challenge for the US title, which is pretty cool. And then you have CM Punk and Jeff Hardy for the World Heavyweight title, where Jeff won the world title for the first time. Second time, actually, because he won the World Heavyweight title at Extreme Rules and then lost it. But this was his first little mini run as world champion, World Heavyweight, that is. And then we have a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. Randy Orton versus Triple H versus John Cena. The WrestleMania 24 rematch. I don't know which one I prefer. Probably WrestleMania 24, just for nostalgia reasons. But there's your disc art. That's actually a pretty cool disc art. Have all the titles on it. Alright, next up. SummerSlam 2009. This was when they changed it to the star gimmick. I don't like the SummerSlam star logo. I prefer the S logo, that one there. But pretty cool cover though. They had it was like a old circus or carnival poster, which is pretty cool. But this is a good SummerSlam. We have Rey Mysterio and Dolph Ziggler in a great opening match. MVP and Jack Swagger, DX returning to face Legacy. You have your unified tag team titles on the line. William Regal and Christian. Jeff Hardy versus CM Punk in a TLC match, which was Jeff Hardy's final pay-per-view match before his run ended in 2009. And then Randy Orton versus John Cena for the WWE Championship. And that was when, I think, Ted DiBiase's brother interfered. I forget his name. It might be Mike DiBiase. Don't hold me on that. But yeah, that was a really screwy ending. I did not like that. But there's your artwork there. And this would lead to a great rivalry between John Cena and Randy Orton. So it still paid off in the end. But here we have Breaking Point, a one-time pay-per-view. We have Triple H there with the shattered glass look. It's pretty cool. And I like how it's all black and white, too. I really like that. I love black and white, though. We have a Singapore Kane match, Kane and Great Khali. Kofi Kingston and The Miz. Submissions Count Anywhere, DX versus Legacy. Christian versus William Regal again, great match. Submission match, CM Punk versus The Undertaker. And then an I Quit match, Randy Orton versus John Cena. And you get the prices Raw, so that's exciting. Oh, man. I'm so glad they don't do guest hosts anymore on Raw. That was awful. So, next up we have the first gimmick pay-per-view for Hell in a Cell. As you may know, I don't like gimmick pay-per-views. I prefer to have surprise Hell in a Cell matches or surprise Elimination Chamber matches whenever they're needed. And same with Money in the Bank. I prefer Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. But we have great cover here with The Undertaker. And then we have John Morrison versus Dolph Ziggler for the IC title. Triple threat for the US title. We have DX versus Legacy inside Hell in a Cell. CM Punk versus The Undertaker in a very short Hell in a Cell match. He had a bunch of heat backstage, so they pretty much buried him. Yeah, the match did not go long. I think it was like somewhere around under 10-minute mark. I think it was like 8 or 9 minutes. Then we also have John Cena versus Randy Orton in a Hell in a Cell match. Open it up here. There's your disc art. Same as the cover. Very nice cover, though. Come on, close. There we go. These annoying tabs, I don't like them. I mean, they're nice, but at the same time, there's no point. Alright, so we have Bragging Rights 2009. I was probably in the minorities that actually liked Bragging Rights. I liked it. A lot of people didn't. But, you know, it is what it is. Raw versus SmackDown, I liked it. I preferred 2010 over this one, though, believe it or not, because I like the elimination style instead of just the one pinfall win. But we have John Morrison versus The Miz. We have your 7-on-7 Raw versus SmackDown Bragging Rights match. I prefer the elimination, but whatever. And then we have Batista's heel turn in a fatal 4-way match for the world title. And then we have a 1-hour Iron Man match, Randy Orton versus John Cena. Very entertaining match. I really liked it. I actually might watch it here. So there, your disc art. I just really liked it. I like how the logos coincided with the actual brand logo. I liked it. Alright, next up we have Survivor Series 2009. We have DX on the front there. I'm a huge fan of this pay-per-view. I really like the Survivor Series. We had Rey Mysterio versus Batista. We have 3 Survivor Series matches, which are my favorite match types. We had Team Randy Orton and Team Kofi Kingston. And then we have kind of more of like a SmackDown-oriented team there. And then we also have Undertaker, Big Show, and Chris Jericho for the world title. And then we have John Cena, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels for the world title. So 2 triple threat matches. I thought that was really cool that they did that. It's not very often you see that. And then there's your advertisement for WWE magazine. It's very Batista-oriented. Alright. And finally, probably the worst pay-per-view cover of all time. TLC 2009. Another gimmick pay-per-view. And this is just an awful cover. I can't describe to you how bad it is. Like, just look at it. But we had Shelton Benjamin and Christian, a good ladder match. John Cena and Sheamus in an upset tables match. And then we have Undertaker versus Batista again in a chairs match. And then TLC, DX winning their first tag team titles against Chris Jericho and Big Show. And I always really like the stage as well. Very cool. How they have like the table, ladders, and chairs hanging. That's really cool stuff. There's your disc art. Alright, so that'll about do it for your 2009 pay-per-view DVD collection. I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out.